Hey folks, it's Patriot Nurse, and you're joining me here in the hotel room. I'm on the road right now. I'm actually fixing to teach a class in Exeter, New Hampshire, so I'm very excited about that. I wanted to talk with you actually today about where the nation is headed, and this comes as a result of reading an article that was published today in the New York Times about the general downward view that millennials think that the country is headed towards, that they have a lower esteem of the nation, and they have lower expectations of their prospects for the future, etc. And the reason why I'm going to touch on this is that I think that in many cases they're headed the right direction on the wrong road, if that makes any sense. And really what this comes as a result of is just doing a lot of thinking by myself for the past little bit. Our nation has lost respect in the world as a global power. The Russians are checking us at pretty much every opportunity that they can. Putin has just sent, I saw today in both the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times, 40,000 troops to the border of Ukraine, and is also using Iran as a place to launch their attacks, their airplane-based attacks in Syria. In addition to that, you have Erdogan, who is the leader of the Turkish people at this point, kind of losing control, definitely losing his grip and getting like hardcore tyrannical, more so than what we're used to seeing. And really, Turkey as a NATO power is starting to court the Russians. And all of this comes as a result of a weakened United States presence internationally. And a lot of this, I think, is being, the loss of the respect of the nation is being supported because we have a very divided populace at home. We have an executive branch. We have a federal government who really hates the nation, hates the founding principles of the nation. They're rabid Marxists. They're pretty terrible and wicked people. And when you have wicked leadership, you can view it a couple of different ways. One, you can view it that the people are essentially just and moral and that we just got screwed over. Or you can view the leadership as the judgment upon a nation, or really, in effect, the consequences for the actions of national trends in thought and in accepted behavior. And the leadership reflects the people. So one of two ways. You can say that it comes from the top down, or you can say that the pressure comes from the bottom up. But the bottom line is that the nation is, regardless of which side of the aisle you sit on, most people in this particular poll that they took, 70-something% of millennials. Now, this is just millennials, granted. Like, we're not even talking people who've actually lived in the world and worked and, contributed meaningfully to society in many cases for decades, okay? Just the millennials say about 70%. 70% of them say that the country is on the wrong track, all right? And when you put that together with the majority of Americans that have been polled, at least the polls that I have seen, the people in this nation know that we're imploding, okay? I cannot remember a time in my life, and I'm in my big 3 O's, I'll put it that way. I will leave it to you to figure out how old I am, but I don't remember a time in my life where the outlook was so pessimistic. I sat next to a guy in the airport today, okay? And no, I take it back. This was 2 weeks ago. It all runs in my head to Denver. I was waiting to go to Denver, to fly to Denver to teach a class. And we were watching the news come across the TV screen. And this guy's probably in his mid-40s, like a professional type, Silicon Valley sort of type. And he looks over at me and he says, "My God, I am so terrified of this election." I knew that he was clearly going to vote for Hillary. Like, that's what he meant by the "I'm so terrified of this election." And for me, I looked at him and I said, "I'm terrified too." So because this is about more than just a presidential election. I know, and people my age and younger know, there is not going to be a Social Security for us. There is not going to be meaningful expansion in jobs that pay, first off, like standard of living, but also that are going to wipe out these massive student loan debts that most people have. Praise God, I do not have those. But a lot of the people, like for instance, I worked with a girl at one of the hospitals that I worked at who had a 6-figure college loan debt degree in psychology. And she was making less than me by far. She made about half of what I made. I was a nurse, and she was part of the team. But she was not a nurse. She was not a licensed clinical professional. And she had 6 figures of student loan debt. When you have so much debt that is weighing on a nation, when you have so much depravity, okay, deviance that is accepted now, and that is lauded from the highest levels of government, we cannot expect that we're going to have a bright and happy future. And part of my job is to be able to look at this situation and say, okay, knowing what I know as a nurse, knowing what I know about history, and knowing what I know about, for instance, the Tytler cycle and the cycle of history and where we sit as a republic in the midst of it, there are no happy outcomes that I see here, even if you were to have the candidate of your choice win the presidential election. The country at this point is so divided, and to be honest, we have so much of the population that are like cyborgs. I thought about that today walking around in the airport. Star Trek fan here, big time. The Next Generation. Don't give me any of the old stuff, and definitely not Deep Space Nine. Not gonna work. But in Star Trek: The Next Generation, the nemesis of the Federation was these things called the Borg. And the Borg were these mutilated human-type people who were forced into a synergetic existence with computers, with machines. And I see all these people walking around with their heads buried in their phones or their little earbuds, like this. I'm not saying it's evil or something to listen to your iPhone, or that's not what I'm saying. But I just looked around in the sea of people and everybody's plugged into something. And I told Reed the other day, I said, babe, we are the last generation of people who didn't grow up connected to some sort of electronic device all the time. Like, it wasn't like that. The first cell phone that I got, I was 17, I think. And that was like, I was one of the first ones, because my parents were definitely like, you must have this, and we're going to know where you are. You must have access. My whole family were preppers by default. Okay. But I see that the nation is becoming dulled and numb and socially bankrupt, morally bankrupt. People don't know how to interact anymore. Like, you talk to a kid and you're lucky if they make eye contact with you. Folks, where is the nation headed? At this point, I don't know, but it's not good. And I don't see it getting any better. So what are we to do at this point? My focus is on equipping people to take care of their families, okay? And equipping people to take care of their health and the health of their families outside of access to a grid, because I think the day is coming, and I don't know when, where, what, all that stuff. I don't know all of the little RSVP parts, but I know that a day is coming when your access to healthcare is going to be restricted because you either cannot afford it or it has become rationed because you don't have enough skilled healthcare providers available. Aetna just pulled out of Obamacare exchanges. Woo! I thought it was supposed to be affordable, right? Yeah, that's right. It's free until everybody gets it. So I think that focusing on the ability to take care of your family and their health is really important in the days to come, okay, as is your ability to defend yourself. I don't see peace, tranquility, and prosperity on our horizons. I think the fundamentals, from my limited understanding of economics as a business owner and just by talking to people on the street, I think the fundamentals of the economy are not sound. Like, how many more unemployed people are we going to have when the jobs start shifting towards automation more and more? And it is the nature of technology that it is this beast. It's a tiger, and you're okay as long as you ride the tiger, but don't get off. And we're in the very tempestuous waters of trying to buck the tiger right now and trying to manage being on the tiger, and it's not working for a lot of people. So I think focusing on your skills and on your ability to be self-sufficient and on your ability to take care of your needs, your activities of daily living, is critically important. And those are just my thoughts lately. This is a very, very dark time for the remnant of the Republic. It died a long time ago. It was resurrected and stabbed in the gut again when Hillary and all of her little cronies get off scot-free the first time from the FBI. When you have corruption and no justice from the top down, one law for them and one law for us. And you have parts of the population that say it's okay to take violently the property of other people because of their skin color. And they go around trashing things without anybody being put in check. We're asking for disaster here. The nation is divided. We are not united. I would submit that we never really have been unless externally attacked. But our divisions from within have always been very strong, and the Anti-Federalists knew that. So I'd encourage you guys to read the Anti-Federalist papers. The Republic has been on life support for a long time, guys, but these are dark times that are ahead. And all you can do is to get your heart and your head right as best as possible and practice your skills. So definitely check out the website, guys. I'm going to be in Phoenix next month, and then Knoxville, Tennessee, Houston, Texas, and then Battle Ridge again, Harrogate, Tennessee. That's where I'm going to be this year, okay? So if you haven't made it out to class, try and get that done. All right, I do not know what my training and my travel schedule is going to be yet for next year. We're going to see. It depends a lot on the nature of things. So I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you have a great time enjoying your friends and your family. And for now, it's Patriot Nurse signing off, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.